Hey there, Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome back to Total Chiefs, the place where we dive into all things Kansas City Chiefs and get you up to speed on everything that's going down with our team. I'm excited for today's video because we've got some juicy trade rumors to talk about that could seriously shake things up for the Chiefs. Now, before we get into all that, I've got a challenge for you. We're coming close to the end of the month, and we've got 219 comments on a video this month, which, hey, it's great, but I know we can do better. I want to see if we can hit 500 comments on today's video. So here's the deal. If you're a real Chiefs fan, I want you to spam C for the Chiefs in the comments. That's right, just like you would on game day at Arrowhead. Let's see if we can get this rally cry going strong, even in the offseason. If we hit 500 Cs, I'll give a shout out to whoever spams the most in a future video. So go ahead, get typing. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about something huge that's buzzing around the NFL right now. Could Chris Olave be on his way to Kansas City? This is one of those trade rumors that has Chiefs fans talking. You've probably seen it, and you might be wondering, is this really going to happen? Well, stick around because we're diving into this potential move, and I'll give you my thoughts on why it could be a game changer for our offense. So, Chiefs Kingdom, what do you think? Would you like to see Chris Olave in a Chiefs uniform? Drop a comment below and spam C if you're with me on that one. Let's get started. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, now let's dive into the exciting part, the trade rumors about Chris Olave potentially joining the Kansas City Chiefs. This could be a huge move for our offense, so let's break it down and see why this might make a ton of sense for the Chiefs. The buzz started when Last Word on Sports named Kansas City as a top trade destination for Chris Olave, the wide receiver from the New Orleans Saints. Now, we've heard a lot of trade rumors in the offseason, but this one caught my attention. Olave is a guy who could really elevate our offense, especially with the Chiefs' current situation at wide receiver. As we know, the Chiefs' receiving core isn't exactly in the best shape right now. While we've got some solid pieces like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Skyway Moore, the depth is a concern. We've also got Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy, but there are some potential suspensions on the horizon, not to mention other question marks hanging over the group. So, bringing in someone like Olave could be exactly what this offense needs to take it to the next level. Now, let's talk about Olave's performance on the field. He's proven himself in just a few seasons in the NFL, and it's clear that he has the potential to be one of the league's top receivers. His rookie season was stellar. Over 1,000 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, and 72 catches. In his second season, he improved even more. But even though last season didn't go as planned, with injuries limiting his games played, Olave still showed flashes of brilliance when he was healthy. If you ask me, he's got all the tools to be a star in this league. The Chiefs' offense, while still potent with Patrick Mahomes at the helm, wasn't as dominant as we're used to seeing last year. Adding a talent like Olave could help reestablish that deep passing game that has made us so dangerous in the past. But enough about me. What do you think? Would Chris Olave be a good addition to the Chiefs? Drop a T for trade if you're all in on this move, or P for pass if you think we should look elsewhere. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this potential acquisition. Let me know your thoughts on this section, and once you're ready, just give me the C to continue. 4.0 Mini. Você disse CO ChatGPT DC, Chapter 3. The cost of acquiring Chris Olave, 400 words. Now, let's get into the financial side of things because, let's face it, when it comes to trades, the cost is always a big factor. So, what would it take to bring Chris Olave to Kansas City? According to reports, the trade package for Olave would likely involve a second or third round pick. This sounds pretty reasonable when you consider the kind of talent Olave brings to the table. He was a first-round pick in 2022, and he's shown enough in his first 2 seasons to justify that kind of return. So, if the Chiefs can land him for a second-round pick, heck, maybe even a third-rounder, that seems like a steal, right? The best part about this is that Olave is still on his rookie contract, which means the Chiefs could potentially take advantage of his cost-effectiveness for a few more years. For a guy with his potential, that's a huge bonus. In today's NFL, where star receivers are often making top-dollar contracts, having someone like Olave on a relatively cheap deal could allow the Chiefs to allocate resources to other positions, say, the offensive line, or even upgrading the defense. But here's the big question. Should the Chiefs pull the trigger on a move like this? The cost isn't too crazy, but there's still a long-term commitment involved. You would eventually need to extend Olave's contract, especially if he turns out to be the star we think he could be. And while paying a wide receiver big bucks isn't exactly a new concept for Kansas City, I mean, we've got Mahomes under contract for the long haul, it does still raise some questions about balancing the salary cap. So here's where I want to hear from you. What do you think about the trade cost for Chris Olave? Would you be willing to give up a second or third round pick to get him? Is it worth it for a guy with his talent? Let me know what you think by typing T for trade if you think the price is right, or P for pass if you'd rather keep those picks for other needs. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. All right, now we need to talk about something that's a bit concerning. Chris Olave's health, specifically his concussion history. As much as we're all excited about his talent, it's important to acknowledge the red flags that come with his injury record. Over the course of his career, Olave has dealt with multiple concussions, 4, to be specific, in just 3 seasons with the New Orleans Saints. That's a pretty serious issue when you're talking about a player who relies heavily on his physical abilities. Not only that, but it's something that's been lingering since his college days at Ohio State. In fact, he even missed most of the 2024 season due to 2 separate concussions, which forced him to sit out for 9 games. This is a big deal because, as we all know, concussions aren't something you can just brush off. They don't just go away, and once you've had one, you're more susceptible to getting another. The risk of repeated head injuries is not something to take lightly, especially for a wide receiver who's constantly going up for high catches and taking hits from defenders. And while there are safety measures in place like the Guardian caps and the NFL's concussion protocols, we can't ignore the long-term risks that these repeated injuries pose to a player's career. Now, let's get real for a second. Chris Olave is undeniably talented. He's a fantastic receiver with the potential to be one of the league's best. But with that said, his concussion history could be a deal-breaker for some teams, especially the Chiefs, who are looking to protect their future. Would bringing in a player with that kind of injury history really be worth it, even if he could elevate the offense? I want to hear from you, Chiefs Kingdom. Is Olave's concussion history a red flag for you? Should the Chiefs pass on him because of these concerns? Or would you still take the risk for the potential reward? Type Y for yes if you think his health history is a deal-breaker, or N for no if you think the talent outweighs the risk. This is a huge question, and I know you all have some strong opinions about it. So, to wrap things up, let's review everything we've talked about today. Chris Olave is a highly talented wide receiver with serious potential to elevate the Chiefs' offense. The trade rumors linking him to Kansas City are exciting, especially given his impressive rookie and sophomore seasons. But there's a big what-if hanging over his future, his concussion history. If the Chiefs decide to pull the trigger on this trade, they could be getting a young, promising receiver who would fit well into Patrick Mahomes' offense, but there's the looming risk of those concussions potentially impacting his long-term viability. Now, with all that said, what does this mean for the Chiefs heading into the 2025 season? The Chiefs could very well make a move for Olave, but whether that happens or not is still up in the air. There are other potential options out there, whether it's a trade, free agent signing, or even a draft. Pick. The wide receiver position is definitely one of the biggest question marks heading into the offseason, and it's something that will likely be addressed soon. So, Chiefs Kingdom, what's your take on this? Should the Chiefs trade for Chris Olave, or do you think they should look elsewhere? Is there another wide receiver on your radar? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of the latest Chiefs news as we head into the offseason. I appreciate you all being here and for sharing your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going.